Hi and welcome to Candyfloss Crochet. Today I'm going to talk you through very quickly the benefits of blocking your work. So in front of you I have a lovely pile of granny squares that I've been making. There are three different designs in here, and they all seem to have the same problem. They're curling, they're not lying flat. Some of them are slightly bigger than others, or appear to be slightly bigger than others, which makes it very difficult when I want to join them together. So blocking is basically the art of taking something that isn't lying flat and isn't doing exactly what you want, and then you take it from that to this. So this is one I've blocked. So if I take this one next to it, you can see the difference between a blocked item and a non-blocked item. This one's lying more or less flat. This one's still got all its kinks, and it doesn't matter how many times I press them down, they will look fabulous when if I actually sit there and hold it down, it looks fine. But as soon as you pick it up, it reverts back to its shape and you get these kinks and these curls where it's not lying truly flat. So that's the benefits of blocking. If you're making a large item, so if you're making a blanket or something along those lines, sometimes you don't need to block it because the sheer weight of all the yarn together will pull it into shape. If you make something like a shawl, you might want to block it, because what you might find if you've got a fluted edge, that the edges curl at certain parts and it doesn't lie flat. So blocking is quite important, but it's entirely up to you whether you want to do it or not. It's not very expensive to do. It can be done very cheaply, and you're just going to use water. So let me just show you how we do that. If you're doing a large item, you might want to get hold of one of these. So this is a laundry bag. It's just a zip up bag, and you can pop all your items. So you can pop all your squares in there, pop it in the washing machine, put it onto a very delicate or wool wash, and it will stop any ends that might be loose catching in your machine. I wouldn't wash it with anything else. I would just put it in on its own, and you can do that if you had a large item. If you haven't got any of these bags, then just use a pillowcase. Anything that keeps it all together and stops it just floating around in the machine on its own. Alternatively, if you're just doing small items like these squares here, you just need to get them damp. So I use a standard spray bottle. It's just one that I use to mist my plants. So it's nothing special about it. It's filled with water, so there's again nothing special in it. And you take your square and you just spray it both sides till it's nice and damp. Don't want to get it dripping wet, you just want it nice and damp. And then you need to actually pin it into place or block it into place. So let me show you a couple of options on how to do that. So the first one, and probably the most expensive one in blocking, is this blocking square. As you can see, it's just a pegboard. It has individual dowels in it that you pop in here. You pop your squares once they're damp onto the dowels, and as you can see, you can stack up more than one. This is probably the most expensive way to do it. It only really works for small items or granny squares. So if you've got a larger item, it's not very practical, but it does the job quite well. I've separated, as you can see, they're separated there. There's a gap between them because I want the air to get between them and I want them to dry properly. You don't remove them from the board until they're absolutely bone dry. Don't put them in the sun because you could fade the top one. Just leave them somewhere warm and dry and let them dry naturally themselves. Leave them on the board until you're ready to do the next stage with them if you can. If you can't, if you need that board for something else, or you've got too many squares, take them off, put them somewhere nice and flat, and pop a couple of books on top of them just to keep that shape until you start pulling them together. Because sometimes what you'll find is when you release the tension, they will tend to sort of pull back in a little bit. So if you keep them flat, so like this one here, I've taken off now, I'm going to put that one under a couple of books and leave it till I'm ready for it. The other alternative, and the cheapest and more versatile way, is to use these children's play mats. So you can pick these up in any Play Store or online, and usually get them in packs of say 10 or 20, and they all link together. So if you're doing lots and lots of items, if you're blocking a lot of items or a very big item, these are perfect. They store away quite easily. You can get them out, clip them together for as large an area as you need, and then you can block on there. And to block on these, you will need pins, but you will also need dressmaker pins. So please make sure, it's very important that you check that your pins are rust proof, because the item you're going to pin is going to be wet or damp. What you don't want is for the pins to rust into your lovely item that you've created. So before using your pins, check that they're dressmaker pins or rust proof pins, and then you can just use as many pins as you like. What you might want to do if you're doing lots of squares like I am at the moment is pin out your first one, measure the actual size of it, and then on your next pad just put a little corner mark with a pencil, and then you know that when you're stretching them out, you're stretching them to the same size. So each square that comes off eventually will be the same size. And that's basically it. That's all it is to blocking your work. But as you can see, it makes quite a difference if you've got an item that's been blocked. It's relatively straight with nice straight edges, compared to something that hasn't been blocked that will come out to be beautifully straight if and when I get round to blocking them all. So that's how you block your work. I hope that's been quite clear for you. If you like the look of these squares that I've been making here, this is a crochet along tile blanket that I'm making, and if you want to join, go onto my website. I'll put a link below in the description box, and it's completely free to join, and each week I will send you instructions, video tutorial on how to make each of the squares and then how to make it into a blanket. If you're interested in this, the first one is on the 1st of May, and then after that I will repeat it throughout the year. So keep an eye on my website and join when you can. Thanks for watching.